mopping floors and emptying trash cans. He saw employees working on shiny computers. He dreamed of sitting in one of those chairs, but life had forced him into cleaning jobs just to survive. Instead of feeling bitter, he used his time wisely. Each night, when everyone left, he opened old computer manuals from the trash and taught himself programming. He practiced on broken laptops that people had thrown away. After years of self-learning, he built a small software app. At first, nobody noticed. But one day, a local company bought it for thousands of dollars. That small win gave him courage. He kept coding, kept building, and soon he launched his own startup. Investors saw his talent and funded his dream. Within 10 years, the janitor who once mopped floors became the CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech company. When he returned to the same office building as a guest speaker, the crowd cheered. He smiled and said, "I once cleaned these hallways. Today, I own the company inside them." In a small town, a single mother worked 3 jobs just to feed her children. She often went hungry so they could eat. People around her whispered that she would never escape poverty. But she had one hidden talent. She loved baking. Late at night, after putting her kids to bed, she experimented with recipes in her tiny kitchen. At first, she sold muffins to neighbors, then to a local cafe. Her children helped deliver them in boxes, walking door to door. Slowly, her baked goods became popular. Within 2 years, she rented a small shop. Customers lined up early every morning, and soon her bakery became the most loved place in town. 10 years later, her bakery had turned into a chain across multiple states. On the grand opening of her flagship store, her children stood proudly beside her. She looked at them with tears in her eyes and said, "We started with nothing but love and flour. Now we built an empire together." A young man worked long hours in a noisy factory. His hands were covered in grease, his back ached, and his paycheck was barely enough to survive. Everyone around him accepted this life, but he wanted more. He began reading books on real estate during lunch breaks. Coworkers laughed at him, saying, "You'll never afford property on your salary." But instead of wasting money, he saved every penny. After 3 years, he bought his first small house, broken, old, and cheap. He fixed it himself on weekends and sold it for a profit. That one success gave him the courage to buy another, then another. Slowly, he built a portfolio of properties. Years later, he no longer worked in the factory. He owned dozens of buildings, shopping centers, and apartments. When he visited his old workplace, his former co-workers were shocked to see him arrive in a luxury car. He told them, "I used to clock in at this factory. Now I own the buildings where people clock in." A young man worked as a waiter in a busy restaurant. Every day he carried trays, cleaned tables, and smiled at rude customers who often didn't even look at him. Some mocked him, saying, "You'll be serving food your whole life." But while working, he observed everything: how managers handled customers, how chefs prepared meals, and how business owners made decisions. Instead of complaining, he was quietly learning. He saved every tip he earned. At night, he studied business books and watched videos about entrepreneurship. For years, he lived simply holding on to his dream. One day, he used his savings to open a small food stall. Customers loved his recipes, and soon he opened a cafe. Step by step, his cafe turned into a restaurant, and his restaurant expanded into a chain. Within a decade, he owned hotels in multiple cities. At the grand opening of his luxury hotel, reporters asked, "How did a simple waiter build all this?" He smiled and said, "I once served tables in restaurants I didn't own. Now I own the hotels where others serve tables." Never underestimate what patience and hard work can build.